0 to 200 ELO. This is where chess begins, and for a lot of players it ends here too, at least for a few games. The scholar's mate runs rampant at this level. White plays e4, black plays e5, and then the queen comes out early to h5. A beginner sees the queen and panics. They play g6 to chase it away, but now the e5 pawn is completely undefended. White takes it and wins a rook for free. And if black tries to be smart about it, and for example plays e6 to protect the pawn, then attacks the queen with knight f6 after white develops their bishop, the f7 pawn is left undefended, and white delivers checkmate on the very next move. The game is over before it ever really started. At this level, half of all games end in a scholar's mate. The other half are a failed attempt at one. There is no opening theory, no middle game plans, no endgame technique. Just two players figuring out the rules as they go. 200 to 500 ELO. The scholar's mate is not really a threat anymore. Players at this level have seen it enough times to know it is coming. But the games are still decided in the same brutal way. Just one move later, take the four knights game. e4, e5, followed by both white and black developing their two knights. Both sides develop naturally. Everything looks fine. And then someone forgets their knight is pinned to the queen. They move it away. And just like that, the queen is gone for free. What makes this level interesting, though, is that the opponent could make the exact same mistake 3 moves later and hand the advantage right back. Nobody is consistently punishing errors yet. Pieces hang, mates get missed, and the player who blunders last usually wins. There is no grand strategy here, just two imperfect plans running into each other until one side makes the last big mistake. 500 to 800 ELO. Things look a lot more organized here. Games start properly. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5. The Italian game. Both sides develop their pieces, castle their king to safety, and enter the middle game looking completely fine. And then nobody knows what to do next. Say you are playing white. You have your pieces developed, your king is safe, and you are thinking about maybe moving your knight closer to the center. Reasonable enough. But while you are thinking about your own position, your opponent has been setting up a deadly attack pointing directly at your king. Then they deceptively offer a pawn, and you grab it. And that's checkmate. You never saw it coming because you were too focused on your own side of the board. And that is how games end at this level. Not because of anything clever, just because one player was paying attention and the other one was not. 800 to 1200 ELO. Games are starting to look more like real chess. Pieces get developed, kings get castled, and things occasionally make it all the way to an endgame. But the tactics are still invisible to most players at this level. Say you are playing black in this position and the white knight jumps to b5. It looks annoying, so you play a6 to chase it away. Reasonable idea, except that knight can take on c7, forking your king and rook at the same time. The rook in the corner is just gone. Or take the Italian game. You play bishop e6 here, a natural move, looking to trade off white's powerful bishop. But white plays d5, one pawn push, and suddenly your knight and bishop are both attacked at the same time, a fork hiding in plain sight. The saving grace at this level is that your opponent is also 800 to 1200. They probably did not see it either, especially in a blitz game. So the position just continues like nothing happened, and let's say somehow the game makes it to a pawn endgame. The eval bar starts swinging wildly on every single move, back and forth, winning to losing to drawing, completely out of control. One tempo is the difference between winning and losing. Most players here just guess, and sometimes they guess right, and sometimes they give away a completely won game in just a few moves. 1200 to 1500 ELO. This is where chess gets complicated to describe. Players at this level are not bad, not even close. They understand their openings, they have a plan in the middle game, and they can calculate tactics that would have been completely invisible to them a few hundred rating points ago. Some of their games look genuinely impressive, and then out of nowhere on move 26 of a completely winning position, they hang their queen. Just like that. The 25 moves of good chess that came before it do not matter anymore. That is the defining feature of this range, not weakness, but inconsistency. One game they look like a completely different player. The next game they blunder on move 8 and spend the rest of the game trying to claw back into it. The potential is clearly there. The consistency is not. Yet. 1500 to 1800 ELO. This is where chess gets real. Cheap tricks do not work here. Your opponent knows their openings, they have a plan, and they are not going to hand you anything for free. Games at this level can look genuinely beautiful. Take a Sicilian defence, one of the most complex and sharp openings in chess. White castles on the queen side, black castles on the king side. Both sides immediately start attacking the enemy king, racing to deliver checkmate before the other side does. It is all-out war. And then comes the moment that separates this level from the one above it. White makes a quiet, reasonable-looking move. Nothing obviously wrong with it, but it wastes a turn. And at this level, wasting a turn is enough. Black immediately puts a rook on the best file on the board. A few moves later, white is slightly worse. Not losing, not even close to losing, just slightly worse. And that one wasted inaccuracy is why. That is what mistakes look like at this level. Not blunders, not hanging pieces, just one quiet move that did not quite do enough. The player who makes fewer of those wins. 1800 to 2200 ELO. This is serious chess. The gap between this level and everything below it is hard to overstate. Losing a pawn here is like losing a rook at 1000 ELO. It is a real, tangible disadvantage that a player at this level will almost certainly convert into a win. In this position, white plays a London system that turns into an aggressive attacking game. White builds up pressure, black tries to hold on, and the position gets sharp. Here, black plays g5, white takes it, and then just like that, a knight fork on f3 wins the bishop. A whole piece gone. You might think that's game over, but here, white has two connected passed pawns marching down the board, and the attack is still very much alive. A few moves later, those pawns are so close to promotion that black has to give up a rook just to stop them. The material swings back. The game continues. It eventually settles into a theoretically drawn position, and neither side can make progress. That is what this level looks like. Volatile, exciting, and brutally unforgiving, but with enough understanding on both sides to keep fighting back from almost anything. It is not master-level chess, but it is not far off. 2200 plus. This is the top. Not just good chess, nearly perfect chess. The mistakes that decided games at every level below this one simply do not exist here. A blundered pawn is not an inaccuracy, it is practically a resignation. Players at this level see so far ahead, understand positions so deeply, and calculate so precisely that the margin for error is almost zero. Games are not decided by who blunders first. They are decided by who outplays the other positionally over the course of 30, 40, sometimes 60 moves. Tiny advantages, a slightly better bishop, a fractionally more active king, one pawn on a better square, get converted into wins with surgical precision. To put it into perspective, a 2600 rated player would beat a 2000 rated player 9 times out of 10. That 10th game would end in a draw, not a win for the 2000, a draw. The difference between these levels is not just skill, it is a completely different understanding of the game. These are the players who have dedicated their lives to chess, and it shows on every single move.